Hi everybody, and welcome to North Bend, Washington. This is the Outlet Mall. Have you been here? And that's Mount Si, and this is a short, impulsive video. I've got a couple quick things to say. Liz and I are heading to Seattle for the day, but just couldn't help myself. Let's flip you around. This episode of Nick from the Field brought to you by Levi's. You gotta love it. So the sun is wrong to really see the details of Mount Si. Let me zoom for you. Skechers. So just as I walk with you here for a second, stretch our legs. Mount Si is part of the Baja BC story. And you're like, well, I don't know what Baja BC is. Well, that's what we're doing this winter, of course. But if we look at the bedrock of Mount Si, and many of you have been to the top, there's a hike all the way to the top of Mount Si. Probably a bunch of people up there this morning, even though it's very hot. The rock is Gabbro. Gabbro. Igneous rock. It's actually meta-gabbro. It's gabbro that's been heated up and pressurized a bit. But gabbro is a pretty rare rock, and to have it here making up Mount Si is interesting unto itself. But Mount Si is part of something called the Eastern Melange Belt. And I confess that I don't know much about these melange belts, but they are part of the exotic terrain story. Therefore, they are older than 50 million years old easily. And there's a potential, as I read more and more about the details of Mount Si, that this is going to be kind of a mountain that's compared to Mount Stewart. And all I mean by that is, how much has Mount Si been moved north during Baja BC time, which is 85 to 55 million years ago, versus Mount Stewart? For those in distant lands, you're looking south. Interstate 90 for 30 miles is going to head towards downtown Seattle. From North Bend, heading 30 miles to the east, climb up into the Cascades and cross Snoqualmie Pass. But my final comment here is that there's a potential that the rock of Mount Si has a far longer and more varied travel history than even Mount Stewart. Because this is gabbro from a subduction zone out in the old Pacific Ocean at some point. So we not only have to get that stuff out of the ocean and get it onto North America, but then we clearly are moving it north. As Merle Beck said in the last video, it's not a question of if there's movement north, it's just a question of how much. Final thoughts. Here in North Bend, most of what I've done teaching-wise has been tied to the Ice Age. And that not only in the Cascades nearby is the alpine ice history, but there's also Canadian ice sheet history right here at North Bend. But if we peer beneath the glacial till, if we peer beneath the old glacial lakes, if we peer beneath a bunch of that, beneath this asphalt parking lot, if we peer beneath all that, we can get to an exotic terrain fruitcake basement that I don't understand very well, and maybe nobody really does because of the poor exposure in the trees, in an urban area, and so on. But I see Liz coming this way, which means it's time for us to head to Seattle. Thank you, I love you, and goodbye.